welcome back to our next, big reveal, review, a deep dive into our cold weather whiskeys. Again, there are different ways you can handle this. Some folks are going to prefer a full-proof, barrel-proof, cask strength expression. They like that warming effect that the proof point can have, as well as the complexity that comes with it. So I certainly respect that. If that is the case, I recommend certainly today our good friends at Oldhamer have awesome available, affordable expressions of single barrel, barrel proof, different store picks. This one is actually a Capital City Black Ops pick that was done last year. Meyer has them regularly. Kroger has them regularly. But any of the single barrel proof picks, we'll certainly be talking at some point about our whisk barrel proof pick from Oldhamer, and it's delicious, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. What we'll be talking about today is something that I think gets overlooked when it comes to cold weather whiskeys, and that, my friends, is rye. Now, I know what you're saying. So many of you that I talk to when you come into the whisk or when we talk bourbon in general, some of you say, I love bourbon, but as soon as I say, well, what about other expressions like rye whiskey, so many of you are less inclined to be interested in ryes. I do actually feel like that it's Tosh and I's, maybe mission in the whiskey world to convert people to being fans of rye. We are both big fans of really well done rye whiskeys. In fact, Tosh would probably say that as far as her palate goes, that she might even prefer ryes. I know Jonathan would consider himself probably a rye fan before a bourbon fan. So I have to start there by saying I know that I tend to be really an advocate for ryes. In almost every tasting we do, I feature at least one rye and try to talk about it, or at least mention some ryes as we go through, because what oftentimes happens is people will taste different rye whiskeys, and maybe it's a very dill forward, maybe it's a very black pepper forward, whatever it might be. But if that's what they have tried and they only assume, maybe you assume that's the only expression or the only flavor profile you find with the rye, you just kind of write it off. And I have to tell you that's just not fair to the incredible grain that rye is and what it can do. So today we're talking about what I think is one of the best really interesting rye expressions on the market. This is a Hugh double oaked rye. So this comes in at 103 proof. This particular bottle is a store pick from Meyer. You can find this, I know, at the Meyer and Plainfield they have these. So we, as you know, are huge Oldhamer fans. We selected Oldhamer as the distillery to do our first barrel pick with, and we love what they do with this great MGP Indiana rye. What I love about this mash bill and what they do with the double oaked rye is essentially double oaked just means they're finishing it in two different barrels. So it's going to spend a particular amount of time, let's say 4 to 5 years in the first barrel, and then it will be moved to a second barrel, typically a barrel that has a different char level. Now, at that second barreling, that char level that's a little bit more, whether it's a 4 or 5 char, or in some cases it could be that it's a double barreled and it has a unique finished barrel effect. So let's say finishing like the Dovetail or the Seagrass. So you're taking a rye and finishing it in a rum cask or a Madeira cask, whatever it might be. What they do with this is it's actually just second barrel finished in a darker charred barrel, and it pulls all of these sweet flavors. So I definitely encourage you, if you're interested in rye, or especially if you like rye, look for any of these Old Hamer rye. They're phenomenal, but especially the double oaked rye expressions. What I love about the rye is it fits with the cold weather theme, because you've got that spice that comes through, that really nice baking spice, that really nice rye spice. It reminds me of the Christmas spices that we find in a lot of our holiday flavors, as well as just the general kind of warming effect that it has. So I've got a pour of it here. On the nose, immediately I get that Old Hamer sweetness. Again, we're talking about local distillery here in Indianapolis. So they have such a unique profile. I get the sweetness. It's definitely fruit forward. I get all of those, a blend of those bright fruits, pear and apple, specifically green apple peel, with then also some dark fruit. I'm thinking about apricot, and I'm thinking about a little bit of grapefruit, but then this really interesting kind of baking spice cinnamon component that's there, with just a hint of dill, with just a hint of like there's a creamy element that's there that I can't really identify. I don't know if I would say it's whipped cream. It almost reminds me like of a key lime pie, kind of where there's a little bit of this sour and sweet and creamy thing kind of happening. Again, Christmas flavors, holiday flavors. It's delicious. On the palate, right out of the gate. The sweetness, the fruit, a little bit of that nice black pepper spice that I love with rye, baking spice that comes in. You get a little bit of heat in the back corners here, not any at all on the tip of the tongue, none on the inside of your lip. It lands all the heat right where I love it, which is on the back of the throat, in the back of the tongue, right down the middle of the palate, all of the sweetness, and now all of that spice just is overcome with really lovely sweetness, a little bit of oak that's kind of showing its age, some vanilla to round it out, a little bit of caramel. It just hits all the marks. And again, is a great selection in our top 5 cold weather whiskeys. This is available and affordable. Again, this may not be something that you can find on every shelf, but Old Hamer is really widely distributed in Indiana, and certainly something you can find. I think all of our local stores carry it, as well as some of the really cool barrel picks. Any of the liquor stores that you find, larger liquor stores in Indianapolis, most of them are going to have some Old Hamer picks on their shelves. And if you see a rye, know that it's a really, really good one. So, as we have said, this is something available, affordable, around $55, and is a great pour for your cold weather whiskey. Till next time, thank you, friends, and keep pouring good vibes.